Hello and welcome to another Talking To episode. I'm your host Teddy, and today I'm being joined once again by
Hayden.
And today we're going to be talking about the TMNT 2003 Season 1 Episode 24, The Lone Raph and Cub. So, what do you think about this episode briefly?
Well, this episode briefly, Teddy, was a nice change of pace, in my opinion. I really did enjoy this episode. It was a nice, less action-packed, in my opinion, but it was still a good episode all round.
You have to say that this episode is a really weird one for a variety of different reasons. Like, I feel as though that is a weird, placed episode, especially for a filler type one, and the story that they do. But at the same time, I do feel as though that the things that I do in this episode, with definitely developing Raph as a character, with showing off his more emotional side, was really great and really amazing to see. So yeah, okay. So we first start off with Raph in the lair, beating up his. I can't remember what that thing's called, but it's beating up the wooden stick thing, and he gets mad at everyone because he's not doing anything, and he storms off. So what do you think about that scene?
To be honest with you, Teddy, I didn't really have too much to say for that scene. It was just they're back in the lair, and they're just trying to find out where Master Splinter is gone. To be honest, I'm just throwing this out here. I had to clock on for five or 10 seconds, just a moment. It's like, who are they trying to find again? And of course, remembering from last week's episode, it's Master Splinter that they're trying to find. So it took me a while to clock on, but once it did, I was like, oh, okay, now we know where we are again.
Yeah, I'll just say that with this bit here, I felt as though that it was really weird. This is part where I say that it felt really weird for the story, just because there's all setting up this story arc where they do go off to find Splinter, and it feels like they're halfway through that story arc where basically the Turtles always already started an investigation, already done some stuff like that, and it feels like that halfway point. It just feels like that it's a bit weird, just going from last episode where Master Splinter was missing, and then going to this one where almost halfway through the investigation type thing. So it feels like a little bit weird there. And then another thing which I feel as though that they could have expanded upon to be somewhat of a really interesting story arc was the fact that Mikey was still feeling a little bit guilty about Master Splinter, what happened to him. I feel as though they could have done some of that, maybe expand upon it and do something really interesting where he feels really guilty about it, and he was the one to maybe go out and find Tyler and stuff like that. I feel as though maybe there was something in there that they could have done to make it a little bit more interesting with Mikey and making a bit more. Hopefully that makes sense, because I feel as though they could have done a lot more with him.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and then after that we do have Raph goes out and he's doing parkour and stuff like that, and then that's when he finds a pile of garbage that is in the way of Splinter, and it turns out it's not him. What do you think about that scene?
To be honest, I didn't have too much to say about that scene, except 2 points. One, how did no one see Raph in the middle of the street riding on buses and lorries and all of that? And two, why? Oh, hold on a sec. I've forgotten my point. Ah, that's it. The other point is that I felt really heartfelt for Raph, because he was so passionate in trying to find Master Splinter, and when he touched the rubbish and it all disintegrated and just all fell apart, I felt really sorry for him. I was like, damn. I thought we actually found him for a sec, and then of course it wasn't. It was a bit heartfelt, and I could understand his pain and where he was coming from in that scene.
Yeah, I do definitely feel sorry for Raph, but I'll say that I do have a few things as well to say about this scene. I'll say that why does I don't know, it felt weird having the garbage look that way. It just felt very forced in for the scene and stuff like that. I know it's not too much of a complaint, but it's just, it just feels a little bit on the nose with yeah, it's supposed to look like it, but it's not. I don't know. But another thing which I feel also that you probably missed and you might find a little bit cool in a way, that the bus that Raph jumped on was actually the same bus which was used in the Total Titan episode where Silver Sentry who took the bus from the dock, and that's when Mikey saw Silver Sentry. Did you notice that, or was that just something to me?
Oh. To be honest, I did not notice that. No, I thought it was just another New York bus.
Oh well, yeah. That's just, I guess that's just me then. So
Well, the more you know.
yeah, I guess. Yeah. So if we're going to this next scene, we do get to meet Tyler in a way. What do you think about Tyler for this episode?
Tyler, this is the first time we get to see Tyler. And of course, it was just really weird for another human character to actually interact with the turtles. I know that you have like the goons that interact with the turtles and all that, but like another human character going into the fold with the turtles, such as like April and
Casey?
Casey. I don't know why, my mind just went blank for a sec there. Yeah, so like April and Casey, they have a unique relationship with the turtles, and of course Tyler now knows of Raph's existence, and it's just a really nice to see that they're developing different human characters into the fold as well, and I hope to think that we get to see Tyler again, in which he's once again causing trouble for himself and getting into trouble and out of trouble. And of course, I'd really like to see him a lot more in the this turtle universe, because it could be really interesting. You know, he may become like April and Casey, a good group, or potentially like a family member to the turtles. It's just they're opening up this whole story arc, and I just want to know where it goes.
We'll be prepared to be disappointed because this was his only episode. So, yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, I mean...
damn it.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh well.
yeah, I must admit, like, going off your points, I do think, like, it's, like, really great to see, like, this, like, universe, like, get, like, developed and become, like really fleshed out in a way, which I do think is, like, really great. And I do think that Tyler is, like, a really interesting character, and I would say that he definitely does bring something to this universe while like, livening up and all that sort of stuff. And again, it's sort of like a real shame which I don't really get to see a lot more of that. And this also that with the Turtle universe, especially like TV shows and movies, you have like these like certain core set of characters. I mean, like, I'm talking about like the good guys, bad guys, then like the secondary characters. But like when it comes to like the world building itself, it always feels though that like the universe is like really empty. But when you have like characters like Tyler, the mob, and all that, like really interacting with this. I don't know, it makes the universe feel more lively, and I do think that's really great. So yeah, then going into the next scene, we do have Raph, who comes in to save Tyler, and he fights the mob. What do you think about that scene? I know that's like sort of brief because you don't really get to see too much of Raph fighting. He's just sort of just you know, just like slicing the weapons, stuff like that. But what do you think about that scene?
To be honest, this fight scene wasn't particularly in my most favourable for this part of the episode. At least it wasn't as like good as like many other fight scenes that we see with other goons, such as like the Purple Dragon and the Foot. It was just a brief introduction to this new organization, and just to show that they're here and they're making themselves known now, which is all cool and which is all right with myself. But I didn't really have too much to say about it as such, because it wasn't my preferred favorite. But there is other fight scenes within this episode that I do really like. So this is just like a brief introduction to the new goons. And also, Teddy, do we know what this organization's called?
They're just called the mob.
Or is it still unknown as of yet?
But it's called the mob. I
Oh,
don't really have too much of a name, but like, I don't know, it's a really weird group of characters, just because these characters like appear in this episode for this season, and then they appear in like another couple of episodes for next season, and that's it really. They're not really there to be a big threat, even though they are sort of like made out to be a big threat, and it does lead to like a interesting story, which they do sort of tease in this episode, and it's interesting, but at the same time, they don't really do enough with these characters to make them out to be the big threat which they need to be for that story arc when we do get to it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'll just say that like with the fight scene, I mean I must admit I do think it was like really cool and stuff like that because it was just doing it to see the Raph just like slicing all the weapons. I thought it was really interesting just to see like a different type of fight and stuff like that. But yeah, so then we do get to see Raph actually interact with Tyler, and they're back and forth with Tyler punching Raph and Raph taking Tyler to the police and stuff like that. What do you think about that scene?
I absolutely loved that scene. I really did enjoy it. Like, the amount of, like, Tyler is like a little devil. Like, he proper swung for Raphael, and literally Raphael just took it right to the face. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this kid is starting to try and fight Raphael. Like, kid, I'm gonna give you some advice. Don't mess with Raph. Like, just the amount of like swings. Like, he proper swung for Raphael. Someone taught that kid how to fight. Like, even though Raph like ended it straight up, but it was just really, really weird to see the kid actually get like a swing, an actual punch in it. Like, you were expecting it, but you were expecting Raph to catch it. But I guess Raph was a bit more tempered in that situation, because when I saw Raph get hit the first time, I was thinking, okay, Raph is going to absolutely unleash now. And of course, he got hit the second time, and then of the third, and then of course he got it on like the fourth one. But it was just really weird to see Raph like just take a full-on swing from like a kid. Like, I just couldn't believe my eyes. It's like, this kid is actually trying to start a fight with Raph, and it was just really funny for me just seeing him get punched right in the face.
Yeah, I mean, I found it like weird, also somewhat enjoyable, funny, but I don't know, it's just one of those things that just works. And then for me, like for this scene with Tyler, for some reason, for me, he's always sounded to me like Ash. I don't know if he sounds like Ash to you, but like he always does for me, like Ash from Pokemon.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know if it does just me, but it gave me that kind of vibe. And yeah, oh no.
Yeah, now that you say it out loud.
And another thing which I realised was when Tyler and Raph are screaming back at each other, "Oh yeah!" I don't know why, but I've always loved that scene. This like Raph's anger, the way that he says it, perfect, really. So yeah, then we do have the flashbacks scene where Tyler reveals that basically his mum was a reporter and got some information about the mob, and then the mob came and got both of them, and Tyler got the tape and then ran away. What do you think about that scene?
It was really cool and nice to see that they were bringing back like the backstories. Like, I really did enjoy, like, this was talking a couple of episodes ago, but when Master Splinter was talking about his backstory with his master, I really do enjoy watching the backstories, because it gives us more context into what's happening in the episode and why the situation is why it is. And of course, it was just really cool to see like the little backstory of Tyler explaining what happened in his own story, in his own way, because at the end of the day, he's just a kid, and of course he perceives it in a way that he can understand for the situation. And of course, it's nice to see the different perspectives of what actually happens, like the bad guys or the mob, and the whole situation unfolds, so it gets us, the audience, up to date and up to pace on what is actually going on, and like why Tyler is actually here in the alley hiding in the bin in the first place. Because to be honest, I was thinking, okay, why is there a kid hiding in the bin, and why is these like goons trying to go after him? And of course, thankfully enough, the episode explained that, because I would have just been sitting here as like, why is the kid in the dumpster? Like, what's going on? Is he like a trash man servant, or like a goon for the trash man because he's in a bin or something? But yeah, it was just really cool to see the backstory, and I really do enjoy them because they give a lot more depth and live, and just a lot more. They make the episode more fleshed and more alive in this universe, and I really do enjoy that.
Yeah, I just see that with the flashback scenes, they're like, I don't know, I've always enjoyed them because they always give more context and stuff like that. But I feel as though that with these characters, I don't know, this scene feels as though that you should care a lot more about these characters. when they're sort of like halfway through their story without any sort of introduction to these characters. So say that I would prefer like a little more connection with these characters to have like a bit more feeling towards them and stuff like that. I think that's like my biggest problem with these characters in this scene, where they're trying to make it feel as though that this is a really big important scene and stuff like that, but I have no connection to these characters, so it feels hard to be really invested in the story. But I do think there's like some really interesting bits in this bit here. Like one scene here was when on the TV screen that Tyler was watching, they actually had a sort of it was actually had the story which this episode is based off of, what about the one which I told you last week, where it was like a man with like a baby in a cart, and the car had all different kind of weapons. I do like that kind of little reference to the episode. It was like really great and stuff like that. And then when another scene which I found was really weird was the fact that his mum gave Tyler the tape. No one saw his mum give him the tape or anything like that. No one thought to check her or anything like that. And they didn't decide to hear the conversation about Tyler escaping and stuff like that. I mean, are these... Oh god, I have so many questions about their common sense and stuff like that, but... Well, it's turtles. So, yeah.
You can't argue with turtles.
No, you cannot. Okay, so then for the second fight, we do get to see Raph go up against them up again, taking down the sign from the building, and slamming doors in people's faces, and that's when one of the mob blinds Raph. What do you think about that fight scene?
That fight scene. To be honest, I really did have my worries for a sec, because when the goon in like the trench coat pulled out the grenade, or the flashbang as you would call it, I was thinking, why do you have that on your person? Like, and why would you use it on a kid? Like, seriously, how messed up do you have to be to use like a flashbang on a kid? That's just messed up. And I'm thinking, wow, he's actually just gonna flashbang a kid, and I'm just like, just because we didn't know, like myself, I thought it was an explosive, like it was C4, and I thought the goon was literally gonna use the C4 to kill the kid. I'm like, why? Like, that is one, a waste of C4.
Yeah, I'd say that this fight scene for me, I found it so cool just seeing Raph go. I wouldn't say go all the way with like him being him, but just the way that he was in this fight scene, taking out all the characters in such a great and amazing way, slamming the door on someone's face, throwing these sides at the sign, taking it down. Oh my god, this was amazing, and it was so great. And then when the grenade thing came out, I mean, I must admit, I do find it weird that he would use something like that on the kid, but, you know, it is what it is, but it just feels really weird that he would do something like that. And I would say that, like, with Raph being blind, I don't know if that was like a good thing for this episode or a bad thing, but I do think that for a story sort of thing, it was interesting for the characters to like interact and stuff like that. But I don't think that with like the story which I wanted to tell with him being blind and the amount of time they had to tell that, I don't think they had enough time to really explore the relationship during that point. But I feel still like there was potential there to definitely expand upon it if they were to have a little bit more time. And yeah, so after that, we do get to see Raph and Tyler go off to the mob base, and that's when Raph gets in a fight with the mob boss, and Tyler told him what to do. He's doing like front kicks and roll and duck and stuff like that. What do you think about that fight scene?
This fight scene, I really did enjoy. I don't know, but all the other fight scenes, I couldn't compare the fight scenes to this one. Like, this was one of the better fight scenes within this episode, and I really did enjoy it because there was a relationship, and of course there was a bond between the kid and Raphael, and of course this kid was now Raphael's eyes and senses, and of course this relationship and this communication, it reminded me of an episode. I can't remember it for the life of me though, but it's where, I can't remember the episode, you can probably remember this, Teddy, but it was the episode in which the turtles had to communicate with one another to fight. Either it was the Shredder or one of the goons or the Purple Dragons, I just can't remember, but there was an episode in which they had to communicate with one another, whilst one was blind or one was incapacitated at the time, and of course they had to use this communication between themselves to try and figure out how to defeat the guy or the person that they were fighting. But I just can't remember it. I really can't. But like I said, I really did enjoy this, and the fight scene as well with the kid communicating to Raph, like the kicks, like 7 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and it was just really, really cool to see that.
Yeah, I'd say that with these fight scene with the mob boss, I found like really interesting and like really unique. Again, with like the relationship between the two characters, and I do think that this fight scene was like really well done, well produced here, really great. And I can't throughout this episode, I've always felt as though that these characters probably should have been the purple dragons, and this mob boss should have been Hun. As it feels so like with, I don't know, it feels like they would have had like, a better connection with like the villains and connection with these characters. But at the same time, because I know what like the story which are leading up to, it does make sense for them to be here. But at the same time, they probably should have had a few more episodes for these characters to be in here. But I do think that as a fight overall, I found it like really great, really interesting, and again like so unique. With Tyler telling them to do 7 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and all that sort of stuff. Like really interesting and great and stuff like that. But I feel as though that these villains are like characters that they probably should have really developed a lot more in other episodes, other than just being this episode and a few other ones. But I don't know, it's really weird because when you do see like the final few episodes which are in, it all makes this episode a little bit weirder with these characters. But yeah, so yeah, after that we do get to see Raph and Tyler find Tyler's mum, stuff like that, and Raph's finally able to see, and he throws the weasel into the boxes with all the other guys. What do you think about that scene?
I really did enjoy that scene in which Raph decided to let the kid go and rescue his mum. Like, Tyler had a promise that he made to his mother, and of course, Tyler fulfilled that promise, and of course, it was really sweet just to see him go in there and rescue his mother. Like, the kid is stubborn, hot-headed, and of course, now that I say it out loud, it really does remind me of Raphael. Like, this kid is the spitting image of Raphael. And of course, this episode was a really great eye-opener, not just to myself, but to Raphael as well within this episode. It just shows that Raphael needs to be more calm, be more tempered, and allow himself to be more fluid in different situations. And of course, he was kind of like a teacher in this episode to Tyler. Like, he was teaching him to become more tempered, more calm, and more slow with his methods and his thinking overall. And it was just really, really cool just to see that develop between Raphael and Tyler in this small but brief relationship that they had within this episode. And it was just really, really, really sweet to see it.
Yeah. I mean, I do definitely like see like a lot of comparisons to the episode Meet Casey Jones, where we do get to see like Raph being angry and trying to teach Casey to be less angry. And I do think that's like one of the like best things about this episode was the fact that Raph was trying to give lessons to someone while also learning them himself. And I do think that throughout this episode, it did really like develop Raph as a character to be a more compassionate guy towards others. And we do get to see that other great side of Raph, which we don't normally get to see, which I think works really great for his character. And we do get to see in like these kind of episodes where it's just like a one-off type thing, when we do get to see Raph's more emotional side, I think it really like brings out the best in Raph. And I do think like an episode like this like really does show like the character that he can be, and I do think that it's just really great. But I do think that with like Tyler's mum just being like very sort of accepting of Tyler all of a sudden is just there with all the mob boss defeated, she doesn't have any concerns or questions about it other than just, oh, how did he get there? No follow-ups whatsoever or anything like that. So I must admit I do find it a tad bit weird that she didn't question anything else. So yeah, what do you think about the final bit where Raph...
Yeah, now that you say it.
Yeah. What do you think about the final scene where Raph became or was able to see again and threw Weasel into the box with all the other mobs?
Oh, that was cool. Like when Weasel figured out that Raph could see, you could tell, like by the way of his voice, that you could tell he was scared. He was frightened. He's like, oh no, what do I do now? Like, I don't have any more flashbangs. I don't know what to do in this situation. Like, you know, he messed up. Like, he messed up in that scene. You could just tell by the way his voice is. And it's like, at this moment, he knew he messed up. Like, that was that scene right there. And of course, when Raphael threw him across the room into the boxes and onto his own goons, it was just really cool to see that. And I did laugh at that scene, just thinking like, oh, this guy messed up. And of course, Raphael, like, I also cracked up at the fact that Raphael said, God, I wish I was blind. Your tie and your, like, face looks really ugly. And of course, it was subtle, but it was still there. And I absolutely loved that.
Yeah, I must admit, I do love like Raph's savage moments. It really does like give me like the kind of vibe from episode 7 where Raph said, "Your mama," is really giving me that kind of vibe with that kind of scene. It was, it was just perfect for Raph in the way that he says it.
Oh, mama! Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this version of Raph is just like that kind of savage kind of guy, and with the way that he did it in this episode, it just works so well. And I don't know, it's just one of these great kind of scenes that just works because you know what's happened before, and just, yeah. But yeah, what do you think about this episode, like, overall?
Overall, this episode was a nice, not relaxing. I can't say relaxing because there's still fighting in it, but it was a nice, chill, and it was a nice filler episode in my opinion. It wasn't a huge episode. It's not like the other episodes we had the last couple of weeks. My God, they were crazy. But this episode was a nice chill out episode in which we can dial back on like the seriousness and the dread and the fear and the anxiety for the characters, and it was just really, really good to see like expanding the universe. And of course, now that Shredder, well, I'm not too sure if Shredder is actually out the picture after the last couple of episodes, but now that other crime bosses or other organizations within the Turtle universe are starting to wake up and realize that they can also take a piece of the pie and take a piece of the city for themselves, and now they're going to be more frequent in this universe. I hope so, at least. But it's just really cool to see, like you said earlier, they're fleshing out this universe. Like, we're seeing more and more people, we're seeing more and more organizations and crime syndicates, we're seeing a lot more action, and it was just a nice episode just to facilitate that imagination and the potential story arcs that could come from this, and I just think that's awesome.
I wanted to say that, like, overall, I've always enjoyed this episode, and I do think that this episode is really great, and the story that I tell, and the way that I do it, and the action which I tell in this episode, is a really great episode overall. The message and the story is just perfect. But I do think that in saying that, because this was a filler episode, basically at the end of the season, it feels a bit weird there. And then also with the story itself, it feels like really weird with the like stuff which I was saying at the beginning of the episode, where Toes were trying to look for my splinter, but they sort of like having stuff like that. It feels sort of like they're rushing that sort of start of the story and stuff like that. And it feels too that it's always been like this weird type of episode, sort of like with the Monster Hunter episode with how they did with the Leo stuff, where they just rush like some of the more important stuff, but at the same time, I know it's a really weird thing because I know it's one of the things that basically like, last episode probably should have been the season finale, and yeah, at the same time we still got like 3 episodes left, or like 2 really, but it feels like they should have done they could have like paces like the show out a lot better with how they do the stories and stuff like that. But it's great overall, but they could have handled it a lot better. So yeah. Okay, so do you want to hear some comments now?
Let's hear them.
Okay, so from the Variant Scribe, they said this episode was the start of a trend that I really liked. Raph being around people that bring out his softer side. In this case, a kid. Two of them interacting was entertaining, and seeing Raph try to adjust to going blind was cool to see. As were him scaring the mob guy at the end when he got his sight back. A good episode all in all. And yeah, I don't really anything to really go off. I do agree with that. Ethan Dole, they put, this was a great episode and definitely helps Raph character grows, evolve in the series. Yeah. Haley Yeager, they put, Tyler helping Raph fight without his sight was awesome. Yeah, I do think that's like a really interesting way they did the fight, which I think that helped like that fight be unique and great. Budwood, they put, any lone Budwood put any lone wolf cub tribute is goated in my eyes, and yeah, I somewhat agree with that. But at the same time, I don't really know the story all too well, so I can't really comment on that too much. 4Kids TMNT, they put,
Neither do I.
4Kids TMNT put, this was my own personal favourite of the TMNT series because well, Raphael's my favourite turtle ever since from childhood. Yeah. Magma Striker, they put, this kid had bigger balls than him to act the way he did with Raph at the start. My god, this kid knew no fear when it came to literally hitting a mutant turtle who is also a ninja and got anger problems repeatedly. He got lucky to be alive at the end of the episode, lol. But in all seriousness, I have mad respect for this kid, especially at the end of the episode, and be trained by Casey. On this person, and should have been trained by Raph and Casey. Yeah. There was a little bit more saying.
Yes.
Now that would have been an. I'll give around to say in a second. Especially saying that it would have made him a lot more interesting, and basically would have made him a lot more badass character. And yeah, I can't agree with that more. I think that he should have been in a lot more. I do think that he definitely has like the right sort of interactions with the characters to be a really interesting character. And it's definitely one that I could like seen like hanging around with like.
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely think that this character should have hang around with like Angel, and then like hang around with Casey and Raph. I feel so like those four would have made like a really great interaction group, stuff like that. That would have been.
Oh my god, that would be a so good story arc.
If only they did that, but it's a shame they didn't. A Joshua production, they put one of my favourite episodes. iSpot 7, they put that mob leader reminds me of a Globfather from the third to last episode of the 1987 TMT series. Ginger, they put, I like the part when Raph gets beaten up by the kid, it's hilarious. And yeah, I feel as though everyone agrees with that.
So true.
Okay.
So true.
Okay, so for the trivia, Tyler Mother looks like a character from the 1987 TV show, and she still does. So Raph teaching Tyler how to control his temper is all similar to the third movie, where Raph telling a kid in future Japan called Joshi to teach his temper. The title plays a little homage to the Lone Wolf Cub story, which is actually a manga. The movie Lone Wolf Cub is shown in
a manga. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I know that started off as a TV show, but I'm quite surprised it was actually a manga. And then also, it was, I think this story was also in Usagi Jimbo's comics as well. Usagi Jimbo was that rabbit character. I think you know who I'm talking about. Do you?
Rabbit character?
Yeah.
Sorry, can you say that again? I got lost with the like rabbit character.
Yeah, it was a rabbit character with swords. Do you remember me bringing like the comic books in with the character Usagi Jimbo?
Oh.
Yeah, him.
Yes, I remember now.
Yeah. Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got confused. There's like Ninja Rabbit. Like, when did this come involved? This ain't canon, is it?
No spoilers. But yeah. Yes. Oh god. So, yeah, and Sogi Jimbo, that's his own like separate universe and stuff like that, made by different creators, stuff like that. And in his story, they did something very similar. I think maybe even like direct adaptation of this story. So yeah. This episode is Raphael's first individually focused episode in the series. Now, okay. So this is something which I do want to debate you on. So, would you really say this is first individual focused episode? Because I would say that episode 4, Meet Casey Jones, was his first individual focused episode, or would you say that this is his first?
Ooh, that is a tough one. To be honest, I was going to go with episode 4, like, because that was like the first time we got to see Raph by himself, like independently from his brotherhood. But this episode can also say the same thing, because this is Raph as well. It's a Raph episode, and I'm not sure, but I'm gonna go with episode 4, because that was the first proper episode that we got to see Raph becoming independent from his brotherhood, and to see him go out and do his own thing. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand I can understand why they'll say that, just because the main story was on Raph, and all the other characters were at the beginning, appeared again. But at the same time, with the episode 4, the main story was on Raph and stuff like that. So yeah. Okay, so for the characters in this episode, or the cast for this episode, we have Tyler Mothers voiced by Tara Jane, or Tara Sands is also another version of her name. Michelangelo voiced by Wayne Gratian, Leonardo voiced by Michael Sinterklaas, Donatello voiced by Sam Riegel, April voiced by Veronica Taylor, Tyler voiced by Tara Sands as well, Raphael voiced by Gregory Abbey, Weasel voiced by Michael Sinterklaas, and also the mob boss was voiced by David Brimmer. David Brimmer was the one who did the voice of Dr. Malignus.
Oh.
So yeah.
Never knew that.
Okay. So for this week, I was going to look into Tara Sands, and you're going to be really surprised with her, just because even though she did the voice of Tyler and Tyler's mum in this episode, she also did the voice of Angel in this episode, in this show as well.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. But get ready to hear this, because she was also the voice of Bulbasaur in Pokemon.
No way.
Yeah. Yeah, she's
Bulbasaur?
Yeah, she's been actually quite a lot of stuff which I think we've seen. She was in it's a really great show, Generator X. She was in that.
Oh my gosh, that was my show!
Yeah, that was an amazing one. I think she's been in quite a bit, really. I'm looking through it now. Not exactly much that we've seen. She was in the Cobra Kai video game. Yeah. She was in the Marvel event.
I haven't played that one, sadly.
Oh, she was in the Marvel's Avengers game, that that terrible one that came out a few years ago. She did a few additional voices in that. She was in a Barbie movie.
Okay. Wait, the Barbie movie?
She's been
not the recent one that's come out, is it?
No, a few different Barbie projects. So that's interesting. What else has she been in? I think she's definitely done like a lot of anime type stuff, which is good, but shame we haven't really seen much of that. Yeah, just looking through it now. She definitely has done like a lot. Oh my god, I'm only on 2017 stuff. She was in Naruto, Final Fantasy. I don't know what number in that is. XV. I don't know what one that is. She was in a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh stuff. One Punch Man.
Oh, Scarlet Nexus.
Sailor Moon.
Oh, nice.
Marvel Disc Wars.
Yep. Things that I haven't got around to watching yet.
Oh, great. Yeah, oh my god, I'm only on 2012. Wow, she's really done a lot. Cool.
Resident Evil, the Resistance.
Wow.
That's a cool one. What else? A lot of stuff. She is very talented. Like, when was her first introduction to
Also,
this sort of
in
industry?
Sonic X as well.
Oh my god, 1985 was the first time that she was in like a large production, which was a video game called Sengoku Machine Go Shogun.
Never heard of it.
I probably just butchered that name. I'm so sorry for anyone that played the game. But I've never heard of it before.
Oh wow.
It is. Oh, it's supposed to be like a anime TV. Go Shogun. I'm not too sure where I've heard of that before, but it's supposed to be like a really old an anime. It looks like from my perspective, but yeah, she really a lot of good stuff she's been in. But sadly, I haven't watched it except for the Pokemon, all the Pokemon stuff, and some video games.
Yeah.
But apart from that, I haven't seen many of these of what she's been in. But yeah, it's really good to see that there's a lot of. Wait a minute.
I was the top of her age. She started doing this stuff when she was 10. Oh my god. And what have we done with our lives?
That was a bunch. Yeah. Digimon. Oh god, I haven't seen Digimon in years.
I think I've seen Digimon.
Digimon and Pokemon, like, those were like the two competitors.
I think I've seen Digimon, I'm not too sure, because I know there was a TV show on the channel which I used to watch, and it's something similar to like Pokemon, but not, so I'm not too sure if it is that, or might be something different, but...
Is it with dinosaurs?
No, it was like this card game, it's all like Pokemon, but the cards. So...
Ah,
I think it might have been Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh.
Oh my god, she's been in Ice Age Continental Drift as well.
Oh, wow.
I want to know what she's done though. I'm trying to find. She was additional voices. I can't seem to find her.
Oh.
That's really interesting. Where is? We are looking. What was the name again? Tara Sands or
Tara Sands.
Tara Sands. Ah, I found her. She just is additional voices. It looks like she wasn't actually in it, sadly.
So that could be more or less like range,
which is a shame. Clear.
Okay, so shall we move on, because I've got a feeling we could be here all day.
Yeah, let's move on, shall we? We could be like sitting here for ages nitpicking at what's good and what's not good, and what things we have seen and not seen.
Okay, so for next week's episode, it is called Search for Splinter Part 1. What do you think is going to happen in that episode?
Well, I think they're going to go looking for Splinter in this episode. That's just one of my hunches, you know.
Okay. Do you want to expand upon that, or is just going to leave it as that?
Well, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think they're going to go out looking for Splinter as the Brotherhood that they are, and they're going to search the city, and they're probably going to find something that isn't related to Master Splinter's whereabouts, but a complete another story arc in itself, and they're going to get sidetracked, or something along the lines, or they're going to be fighting a new gang, or something completely different to what the episode actually is.
Yeah, you're somewhat close, somewhat, a little bit. But now time for the part which you absolutely hate. Who do you think is going to be starting the episode? And I'll give you a hint, it's one for turtles.
Yep. I'm gonna go with, because it was Raphael last episode. It's Raphael today.
It's not Raphael today, or next week. What I mean.
I know it's not. Okay, it's not next week's. Okay, that's good, because the last couple of times, and Raphael was the introduction, or it was the voice for the intros. That was just wrong. That was just dirty. Like, you can't do that. But I think it's going to be, I want to say Mikey for some reason, because Mikey felt a bit bad for Master Splinter in only for a brief part in the start of the episode, so I wanted to go along the lines of Mikey, but I know it's not going to be Mikey. It's going to be something else, like Leo or Donnie, or someone else than Mikey.
Yep, it's Leo.
Ah!
Oh, I love this. Oh, I really wish I carried this.
I don't.
No, I mean, I must admit, like, from like a story point of view, I do like this, but also like from like the jokes point of view, I really wish they did bring this over to 2012 just so I can keep doing it over and over again. Oh god, that would have been amazing if they did that.
Oh, I bet you get a kick out of this, don't you?
No, of course I don't. I hate seeing you fail and lose every week.
Yeah. Yeah. I bet you do. You're probably smiling right now through your teeth.
No, of course not. Not like I made a playlist of you failing every time. Oh, the good times we have.
Oh, you better not.
But yeah, do you have anything else to say about this episode, or is it all done with this one?
To be honest, I really didn't have much to say for this episode. It was a nice filler episode in which we get to see some new characters and develop the world itself, but overall it wasn't a major episode that caught my attention as such. It definitely wouldn't be in my top 10, but it was a nice little episode overall.
Ooh, I'm quite the opposite. I really do enjoy this episode. I definitely say that this is like top 10 worthy for me. So that's going to be really interesting when you get to like top 10 episode lists. Really looking forward to seeing what's on your one. But yeah, if you don't want to get onto the podcast next week, you can leave a comment on the YouTube page, the Reddit page, Facebook stuff, Anchor, your text message or voice message. And yeah, I've been your host Teddy.
And I've been Hayden.
And we'll see you all soon. Goodbye, yo. Bye.
Bye.